Oh, growing up in San Francisco, in the city of many cultures, many religions, many different people, has been the absolute healing and teaching and love for my soul that I have taken into the rest of my life. And in meeting many people who have not had that upbringing, maybe they've been a bit racist or just judgmental in some ways. I think that my insight of how I was raised in the city was able to help other people understand that there was another way of viewing people of all different nationalities and cultures. And so, being from San Francisco, a native San Franciscan is a rare thing to hear anymore. So, when I meet somebody from the city, it's like a real treat because it's like we have some secret knowledge that some people don't have, because we're open-minded, open-hearted, seems to be more empathetic and understanding, if you will. Not everybody's like that, but that was how I was raised, to be respectful of other people and their cultures. And living in the city, we lived in the Mission District. Hmm. Yeah, so that's where I remember since I was 3 years old. That's where I lived, in the Mission District in the city, and it was really interesting and educational and fun. And but there was never what we call a dull moment going on. Um, we lived next to many Hispanic people from Mexico, and up and down the street, people were from everywhere. They had different religious beliefs, different cultures, and it was such a teaching time for me growing up with that. The kids next door, the Quintanas, they had a little garage band, as many of the teenagers in our area had. But they were right next door to us, and we knew them. We knew their family. We used to pass our favorite foods over the back fence to each other during our being outside in the summertime. So it was a familial thing. And, our family was kind of larger with all the people that we knew. Excuse me. So anyhow, um, yeah, garage bands and the kids downstairs were playing all kinds of different musical instruments. And I was probably like 11, 10, 11, when this gentleman used to come by the name of Carlos Santana. Now I know, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. Wow. But he was just a person who lived, um, he lived in the neighborhood. I mean, I lived on Treat Avenue, and he lived somewhere near 24th, from what I understand. So when the kids got a little bit really into it, and he could see that they were into it and serious, he would come and visit with them and show them how to play all these different instruments. And it was quite fun because I didn't know, he wasn't a star then. He was just one of the gentlemen in the neighborhood who really took an interest in teaching and passing on the knowledge of musical instruments. So those kids really stuck with it. They became a really good little garage band. So years later go by, and we heard there's going to be a block party. So we all participated. We brought out whatever tables we had and our favorite foods. And they closed down 4 blocks in the Mission on my street, Treat Avenue, from 20th to 24th Street. This is back in the 1960s, probably the early 60s. And there would be a band playing in the distance, maybe 2, 3 blocks away, but you could really hear them. They were outside playing with their speakers and everything. That was Carlos Santana and his band. So it's interesting to know that you have these early experiences living in San Francisco and realize that it was quite an amazing place to be. And there was all kinds of talent and artisans in our community as well. But having those memories of Carlos Santana and the music floating down the streets into our ears, into our hearts, it was really wonderful. And everybody came out, and some people walked the street, go all the way up the 4 blocks and walk back. We kind of stayed where we were because we could hear the music and share the food and the camaraderie of our little community on we lived at 765 Treat Avenue between 20th and 21st Street. And that street became like my whole, present of where I lived. And I loved it. Multicultural, multi-religious, everybody took care of each other. We looked out for each other. And if there was something that might be dangerous or not in somebody's good graces, it was spoke up against, and those people had to leave because they got found out. So as rough and tumble as the Mission could be, and it could be sometimes, it was interesting. There was never a dull moment, but I'm so grateful that I'm from San Francisco and have such wonderful memories of growing up there. So that would be my answer to that question of growing up in San Francisco, what that was like. Of course, there are many, many other stories to go along with that. But I guess I could share a little bit more. Um, me growing up as a teenager, I didn't go to the local, uh, the local Mission District high school because it was dangerous. There was some shootings and knifings and everything. So, and my mother looked out for me for the curriculum. I wanted to have secretarial, knowledge so I could fall back on it at any time. My mother was a secretary, so it just seemed okay. And so we checked out the high schools that were out of our district. I had to get special compensation, and it was all around the curriculum. So I went to Polytechnic High School, which was in the Haight-Ashbury. Talk about an experience of being in San Francisco. I've definitely, kind of experienced most of it. But Polytechnic, Poly was on Frederick Street, right across the street from Keys Art Stadium in San Francisco. And so I would have to take 2 buses and a streetcar to get to that high school. And it seemed that every time I'd get off of the bus, there would be some man, gentleman, young man following me. Mission wasn't really a great safe space to be in, but you just have to be aware of what's around you. So many times I meet women that aren't aware of their surroundings and they victimize themselves. So I learned that from a very early age living in the city to look out for myself. And so, you'd walk home. Some days I would walk home and I wouldn't go to my door. I would go to a neighbor's door because I didn't want whoever was following me to know where I lived. And the neighbors knew what was going on. Like I said, we watched out for each other. So, they said, come on in, come on in. I'd go in, and then we'd watch that person either turn around and walk away. But it was it was a time of knowing how to be careful and watching out for yourself. So I learned that at a very young age. And later on, there was a police officer that would be, uh, sent to our area to watch out for us because we had a lot of complaints from young women. So pretty soon we had a flat foot, as they call him, a cop on the beat, and he'd wait a block in. And if anybody followed any of the girls anymore, he would stop them at that corner, allowing us girls to get where we needed to go. And he would just detain them for a while. Say, hey, what's your name? What are you doing here? Blah, blah, blah. Ugh, it felt like an angel was watching out for us, after getting off the bus. So it was good to have that kind of watchful eye over us as well. You're respectful and kind to people. Hopefully, they'll be kind right back to you. Yeah, those are my stories, some of them living in the Mission District as a young one. And there are many more to come, I'm sure. Well, walking down the streets and being that vulnerable in a way. Also, I was in judo at the Koyukan Judo Dojo at Van Ness and 18th. And my sensei came from Hawaii, had a small dojo that was near General Hospital in his first one with Alakana Sensei. So that was the first place that we went. And then the dojo grew, and then they moved to 18th Street, which was great because it was right in our neighborhood. And we were sometimes my mom and I would walk to the judo dojo, just a few blocks away. We'd walk together and walk there with our judo gis in hand. So it was a good thing. I'm glad I had some judo behind me. It brought me a mind over matter kind of way. It was a spiritual way. There's a lot of meditation that went into it. But it was really about knowing how to protect your own body and how to walk with confidence and also respect. It was quiet respect. Judo means gentle way. So it's not like karate where, it's more offensive. Judo is very defensive, and we use the weight of your, attacker to your advantage. Just get out of the way. Our judo club was like one big community, again, one big family, meeting all the kids on the mat and their parents. Everybody hung out in the dojo and watched their kids as they were doing whatever they were doing, learning. And so there was another whole connection to another way of a cultural infusion. Um, the Mission District was predominantly Hispanic, people from Mexico. And then the Judo Dojo, my sensei and his wife were from Hawaii, from Hilo. And he was Filipino, she was Japanese. And they eventually had 6 kids altogether. Um, and, they became brothers and sisters to us. So we really enjoyed um, having this other family. Now it was all Filipinos, Hawaiians, Japanese, Chinese, Pacific Islanders. That went on for many, many years. Started when I was 8, and I got off the mat when I was 24 and very pregnant. Well, I was 5 months pregnant. But, I've always kept the teachings of judo with me. They're inside of me, and I kind of pass them on however I can, whether it be with breathing or just being conscious with your space and where you're at. So judo has been very, very good to me. And then my high school, where I went to high school, was predominantly Black. There were 70% uh, Afro-American, Black folks, Black kids, that's what the kids would say. 70% were all Black and very, very cool. Most of the ones I knew, they were running the school, and they were just absolutely great to me. And I was very quiet as a teenager, and I didn't fit in with the in club, but I definitely had my own little, few friends that we'd hang out with. And it was just, one of the girls in our group was Italian, another one was Mexican, another one was from Holland, and another one was a black sister. And was from San Francisco through many generations. So it was interesting, have all these different cultures mixing up all together in different places. And then to be in the Haight-Ashbury, like I was there 67, 68, 69, I graduated. And I was just a good girl, I didn't smoke or do drugs or anything like that. And here's Haight-Ashbury happening 3 blocks away or 2 blocks away. And I was there during the riots and unfortunately saw many of my black friends torn from my hands and beaten, no matter what we said back then, mattered. And we tried to tell them we're all one, we're all San Franciscans here. Let's be kind to each other. And to see all that's happening in this country now is just really sad because we really fought for freedom for everybody back then. So I just really know that my time in San Francisco as a native has helped me to be who I am and to be open-minded, open-hearted, and to find the best in every person. And that's been really sweet. It keeps a sweetness in my heart to know that I have respect and love and curiosity about different cultures. It's just kind of led my way into everything that I've done since. And my belief system has been made stronger by San Franciscans standing together strongly. Yeah, that's part of my story about being from San Francisco. It's been a real delight, and I'm very lucky to have those experiences, which have saved my heart. And the judo actually saved my life at one point. So, and I think just being aware of where you're at, oh, wait, I got to tell you this one story. I'm walking down the street. I'm about 13 years old. And I was so shy, painfully shy. I always look at the ground. I wouldn't make eye contact with any men because it was just taken in that neighborhood as come on. So I didn't make any eye contact. And these two guys, teenagers, standing right on the sidewalk, blocking my way. And I said, and they stopped me and I said, will you please get out of my way and let me pass? And they were just kind of, talking me up. Then one guy says to the other, hey, isn't that the girl from the judo club down there on 18th Street? And the other guy looks at him and says, yeah, it is. And then there was a parting of the ways. I didn't even have to do anything, it just was like, oop. And that's when I felt like two big angels behind me going, you're going to be okay. We got your back. So many different experiences in the city and been blessed by them all. And I'm just happy to share that. And of course, the connections from those people have gone into my life. I mean, my judo family are still my judo family. Known them through everything, um, through joy, through sadness, through life, and through death. And we are family no matter what. And that's just the way it is. And I think that connecting with people in a deep and heartful way is the way that we surpass the bloodlines, the blood connection. It's all about heart and it's all about the soul and the spirit of people and seeing each other for who we are. That's the tip of the iceberg. So if you have any more questions, and I'm happy to answer them, and I look forward to sharing more stories with you on this channel. I kind of invite people to look into their own stories because I feel that's what we're here to do, to pass that on. And just look into your own stories, and hopefully this is like been helpful for you, and you actually are like, huh, let me think about my stories and how best to tell my stories. I think that it's really necessary to pass it on. That's part of the reason I'm doing this, is so I can tell them, pass it on. There's actually a record of me telling my stories, and I think my good friend who has just been so inspirational to me to do this, and I think that's what we need. We need our friends to inspire us to go forward. Thank you so much for coming to Dasha's table. Please share and subscribe to my channel. I so appreciate you being here, and I'll be here again. We'll meet each other again at Dasha's table.